where we're bringing you cannabis culture from a woman's point of view. And as always, here to elevate the cannabis industry. I'm one of your hosts, Ice Dawson, cannabis socialite.
And I am Dashita Dawson, the weed head.
Hi, sis.
Hey, sis.
Hey, sis. On today's episode of She Blaze, we talk about Jay-Z's Minority Business Fund. South Dakota is still attacking legalization. And before there was a new administration, the USDA issues its final rule on hemp.
Wow. Well, we are already here. Yes. It is episode 23. And of course, I want to kick things off with the high of the week. And I'm sorry, I'm still riding high because my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, made history this week. It really was just an awesome just time for us. I mean, the pink and green was everywhere. There are sorors that I didn't know were actually sorors that came out. Everyone supporting our Madam VP, Kamala Harris, who is the first woman to be the VP of the United States. It's just, I don't know. I feel fantastic to be part of the first and the finest.
I know, right? You guys definitely are the first and the finest. The inauguration was a very interesting performance.
Yes.
We got to see Lady Gaga coming through with the Hunger Games. And then, I guess J-Lo with the Latina vibes. I mean, she's not much of a singer, but I do think that, she came through and represented because she is one of the most popular entertainers from Hispanic descent in the country, really.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, props for J-Lo or Jenny from the Block, because she's come a long way. But yeah, no, I wasn't that happy to hear her sing, but I was happy to see her represent.
Definitely happy to see her represent. I did see a meme that said Shanti was singing in the background.
That's real.
Yes. So, just straight jokes. I'm glad we finally moved forward, and we're actually seeing a more diverse administration. I think that's really the most powerful and important thing to take out of it, is that the administration, the entertainers, the people that are in the Senate and Congress look just like us. It really looks like America versus, previously it was looking real white male.
This is true. So excited about that, but that is my high of the week.
Okay, well, my high of the week is, child, I'm tired. I done worked through the holidays. We are at the end. This is our last episode for season 4. Yay! We made it 23 episodes, you guys, including specials. So go and binge us and watch us, because your girl Ice, she needs a break. Okay, yes. She needs a break, and I really, really am excited. I'm kind of nervous because when we go on break, I feel like they want to do a bunch of things. But you guys stay tuned, because we'll be back in February.
Yes, we will be back, and of course, I am going to be live on IG. We won, now we work. We got a lot of legislation that's being introduced. We talk about some of that today and some of our hot topics. So we will not leave you without some of the tea, okay? But season 5 is about to be off the chain.
I don't know about her, but I'm on vacation. I know she likes to work, but I'm going to leave y'all to figure out the tea on your own, if you know what I mean. But with that being said, let's get into these hot topics, because they are quite juicy.
Of course.
Our first hot topic is about Jay-Z. Now, all eyes have been on Jay-Z and Rock Nation since deciding to enter into the cannabis industry last year. And we talked about it a couple episodes ago when they did this huge merger that you hadn't seen in years in cannabis. Basically, he's like, I'm creating a $10 million fund to help start up minority cannabis businesses. Well, we are here to make sure you cash that check, because we really want you to spend that money. Yes, compared to what the merger was about, the amount of how much the merger actually was is a little bit of a small amount, but he is trying.
Well, okay, so one, we've been talking about Jay-Z for the last couple of years, when he is the chief vision officer, or some titles that were being made up, Kaliva being the company. Now what they've done is they roll this up under a holding company that has quite a bit of a portfolio that is worth, it's supposed to be a multi-billion-dollar portfolio of cannabis companies, and this is their effort. What I will, encourage Jay-Z to do, and as well as his team, is please look at the Black and brown cannabis owners in the industry right now. There are plenty of us that have been touching the plant since before it was popular, that have been going to lobby, that have been being leaders in terms and what we should be saying and not be saying, standing up to really largely white male legislators who really have a fear of the plant and want to continue to use it as a way to incarcerate Black and brown folks. So we want to make sure that we're uplifting, and this money can be leveraged to continue to grow what's already been built in the industry.
Absolutely. And Jay-Z, you're from New York. New York wants to legalize. We need to see you front and face with these lawmakers, really helping us, people of color, get into the industry, especially in a state like New York, because you know what they've done. Yes. You're from there. You know what they've done. We are expecting a lot more than just the $10 million. We are expecting your voice. We are expecting you to get educated and really be able to articulate what needs to happen in order to really give back to what they destroyed.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's what we need our celebrities to do. You guys can't just be influencers. You have to be leaders. And oftentimes being a leader means not necessarily saying what people want to hear, but saying what they need to hear.
Yes. So Jay-Z, Rock Nation, call us. Just so you know, Scott Miracle-Gro did spend $800,000. 800,000. Sorry. 800,000, y'all, because y'all be quick to check me in the comments. They spent 800,000 on getting legalization passed in New Jersey. So put your money where your mouth is.
Absolutely.
And with that being said, let's get into hot topic number 2. Thank you guys for joining us for our last episode. We're gonna try to keep it cute and quick, okay? Because your girl is trying to go on vacation. Holla. And we got to go back to South Dakota. I mean, these conservative states are trying hard. They are pulling laws that were here even before slaves, it feels like, with some of these newfound rules when you are trying to legalize cannabis.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm disappointed. We've already reported on the fact that we had a good number of states. We were 5 for 5 in all the states on election day in terms of what the people have said they wanted. And now we have a lot of these conservative states actually trying to repeal what the voters want. And South Dakota is not helping, right? I don't know if there are lawsuits. Are there lawsuits in South Dakota right
yes,
now?
Remember the governor told the patrol superintendent, whatever name that is, to sue them, use the funds of the state. It's a whole mess.
Yeah, so South Dakota is using the people's money to sue the state to overturn something that people don't want. That is terrible. But this is just another way to make the market stall. This only leads right into the hands of people who don't really want to legalize cannabis and say, oh, y'all keep predicting it's going to be this big market, and then you don't see the big market. Is because you continue to do things to prevent the essential workers to actually be in the market. In this case, you're preventing the lawyers, which really falls under not just, it's not criminal, it's about compliance and all of the other things that are important legally within the cannabis space. And there's a lot, especially in what's happening at the federal versus state versus local jurisdictions.
Right. How does that work, more blunts? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It does not benefit the market. It does not benefit the people. And ultimately, it sounds like some people ain't even going to get their coin, right? Because what South Dakota has done, their state bar basically is saying, hey, you guys can give legal advice to people that want to be in the industry, but you can't actually be in the cannabis industry as a lawyer. How can somebody who helps make laws, knows the law, read the Constitution way more than the average person, because that thing is long and boring, and they can't even be involved in the cannabis industry?
Doesn't make sense to me.
Yes, it doesn't.
It doesn't. But here's the thing. That's just the state bar. What's happening at the national level? We see that there's conversation around federal legalization at the national level. Do these, state bars roll up to a national bar association?
Yes, great point. This is actually not the first time state bars have taken it upon themselves to say, hey, lawyers cannot be involved in the cannabis industry. What National Bar Association is saying is, hey, ultimately it is federal. We're looking for changes. The federal government has to make a change because it's out of our hands. We're federal, it's national. That's who we roll up to. So if states decide, no, this person can't be in it, this person can't be in it, that is their choice.
Gotcha. Well, I think it's unfortunate because lawyers are needed. In fact, this is one of the areas I talk about in my book, How to Succeed in the Cannabis Industry, on how you can easily cross over. If you're an attorney, side hustle, crossover, big corporations. We were just talking about that big merger that Jay-Z just did. All it was up in there was attorneys. Come on. Like this doesn't make sense.
Right. It doesn't make sense. And you're right. All attorneys control all of it. I always laugh with people that are going to law school or their attorneys when they're talking about the cannabis industry, because I'm like, everyone's like, oh, I want to grow, I want my dispensary, I want to cultivate, and I'm like, really, the attorneys is the ones getting rich in cannabis because they're reading the laws, they're advocating, they're suing people, to your point, suing states, and they're controlling the contract.
Yes, they have much more, I think, ability to maneuver than say your average plug, if you will.
Right.
And so this is sad.
Right.
South Dakota, boo. But here's the thing. Last thing I will say. It isn't just South Dakota. There are other places that you have lawsuits going on, like Mississippi, and you have associations like the Association of American Medical Association, AMA, that is in writing, in the history books, AMA, saying you don't support the medical cannabis program in Mississippi, which was just voted on. Shame on you. And this is why I'm part of the board of Doctors for Cannabis Regulation, because I'm tired of the draconian laws and beliefs being the leading voice. AMA is the national organization for most doctors and physicians, and for them to go on the record basically not supporting people having access to medicinal program for cannabis is terrible for them. I feel bad. This is a point, we're 5 years into the industry, so I keep saying, okay, come back in 2 years. Let's see what the situation is 2 years, because I'm going to be saying, I told you so. But this is a very real issue where we have these professional groups, associations, that tend to lend their voice to say, this is what all of y'all should believe. So all y'all doctors should be against this. And unfortunately, in this case, they couldn't be far from wrong.
Well, they need to go call up the family of Dr. Knox's, because they could really just break it down to you on why you guys are basically having the worst medical advice right now ever. Learn before. I rather, and in America, we do this a lot. I rather you say, hey, I don't know, so I can't make an opinion or a judgment on it, and allow the people to learn, because that's what America is. It's allowing people to do what they want, is in terms of freedom, learn what they want and be who they want. I'd rather you guys not make a stance than to come out with some old ass 1970s laws or something, because I wasn't even born.
I think that's probably better than, sometimes it's better not to say anything.
Yes, I agree. And, honestly, I don't know what we're going to do with some of these lawmakers and them really trying to create laws that they don't understand them.
Yes. So what is our next hot topic? Because,
we could go on.
Yes, we could.
We could really beat a dead horse about this, but our next topic is actually about lawmakers introducing legalization. So, believe it or not, Virginia has introduced legalization, and they're about to start holding hearings on it as early as next week. And it's really crazy because, right now the tri-state is doing something, but the DMV is about to be the cannabis hub on the East Coast, okay? Because they already got the D, the M, now it's about to be the V, baby.
Yeah, Well, first of all, I want to shout out Virginia because they have been making strides. They had a medical cannabis program. They have one. It is still limited, and they've done a lot of work from even convening a work group, one that my jurisdiction participated in. We provided our own testimony in advance just to get them to the point where they would introduce legislation. So I would say if you are in the DMV area, particularly if you're in Virginia, and you are in support, this is that time to sign up and go and testify. I've done testimony in multiple states for this exact reason. It's important for you to recognize that if they don't hear your voice, you're going to get things that you didn't necessarily want in your legalization. And it's important for you to make sure that legalization is happening with an equity-centered focus. And I would say there are some companies, Columbia Care, that are helping to lead the way. They have license and they are wanting it to be equity-focused. But there's still a lot that they don't care.
No, they don't care. I do feel like right now states are grasping for straws. We know that as far as the American economy, it is really tanking. And what legal states have seen is that no matter what, cannabis has always been a way to create revenue for the state. And I believe all these states are realizing it, and they want to cash in their checks. They also have a governor that is pro-cannabis, which is makes the governor influences the other lawmakers to become pro-cannabis or not, whether they know what's happening.
Yeah, no, I think it's also, I've been having this debate since this morning. The fact of the matter is this doesn't negate that they have a medical program. It's good. They need both. But an adult use program actually provides an opportunity for people who may not have the means, monetary, or the desire to be part of the state's medical program. But as an adult, 21 and over, they have the right to go use cannabis or consume cannabis for their self-care, however they see fit. I tweeted about this earlier, and it was interesting. Majority of people actually agree, but this is why a good majority of people are actually shopping adult use markets. They don't want to pay $300 to be a part of the medical program, or even $100. They don't want to be tracked by the government in that way. And they've decided, hey, same way I can go and over the counter buy Advil, I'm just going to go into a dispensary and buy cannabis for whatever it is I need. So I don't think it's about it either or. I think it's about complementary, but I still question whether they have built up enough of their medical program for their adult use market to be successful. What's also sad is that we believe, and this is erroneous, we believe that if you are going to legalize, that's the only way we can stop arresting people. That's not true. Last year, Virginia actually decriminalized cannabis because why? Because their surrounding states, to your point of the DMV, the surrounding areas, had already established markets. How many people do you think are in Virginia one second and then in DC the next? A lot, right? Because that's the way it's set up. And I think New York is going to have to grapple with this, with the New Jersey, New York situation. They already deal with it with Massachusetts. But it's just so important for us to recognize that adult use is really also not the only way that a state can stop arresting people. You can just stop arresting people.
Wow. You are so right about that. And it is hard because as Virginia moves to create this adult use market, they have no flower in their medical marijuana program. So, I'm going to really see how their medical marijuana and this adult use market complement each other, because right now they're not speaking the same language. And to your point, Aisha, yes, I do think equity has to be in the conversation, but it is not at the moment. The law has nothing around social equity. The law has nothing around releasing the people that basically are still locked up. This is Virginia, kind of like Georgia, North Carolina. They got that 0.25 law to get arrested for cannabis.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that dialogue is changing. Mm-hmm. Like I said, there are advocates. I got to speak recently at an M for MM Virginia meeting, and there were a ton of people from NORML and even some of the current license holders that were talking equity. And again, if you're in Virginia and you want to learn more about what's happening, you need to take it over to your government's website and look for the opportunity for you to testify about the importance of equity, and that it needs to be equity from day one, not, we try to figure it out later. Because that is not how the market is going to thrive.
No, it's not. And that's period. Like, we're not going to keep arguing with you guys over equity. You know, we're not going to keep arguing with you guys over real statistics that shows you ruined our community, basically, because you're over policing us for something every color, every nationality, every person pretty much is okay with and doing. You know, the public response to cannabis is increasing more and more to people just want to do it. They just want to try it, even if they're curious about it, you know. And so I'm really excited for Virginia, because I think the DMV is going to be hot.
Let's keep an eye on it. And of course, we get an opportunity in season 5 to do a deep dive. I am ready for it.
Yes. And I appreciate that tip for patience, because it is definitely important. We have to focus that cannabis is medicinal first. It's always medicine, whether you're doing it for fun or anything in between. Okay. And with that being said, we have to go into our final main topic for this season, and it is about the USDA. Believe it or not, you guys, the USDA decided to finally, after 2 years of twiddling their fingers, to release rules around hemp. And so the USDA is about agriculture and growing and cultivating. So we're seeing more of what they're asking the farmers to do, versus the FDA is about testing food and, you know, intake and digestive stuff. So it's 2 different areas. However, let me just be clear with you guys, because I don't know how many people know this. The USDA rolls up to the Department of Agriculture. The Department of Agriculture, the head, he reports to the president. He or she, them. They report to the president. And so that is like, what was they doing? Like, y'all waited mad long, and then 2 days before the inauguration and new administration, you guys wants to release the final rules? I'm confused.
Well, this is what we call finishing your job in some ways. So if you're an appointed position and you were responsible for doing something in a certain time period, coming up with it, you got to get it done. And so sometimes it is a little silly. I know, because I'm working in the government now, and I'm just like, that don't make no sense. But you got to get it done, especially if you want a chance for your job to maybe continue. President has the right, in most cases, especially in this case, to reappoint every single head, right? But they can also just keep somebody that's doing a good job. In this case, there's really no holding on to people in the transition. That's not going to happen. In other cases, for example, when it's like Democrat president or Republican president, so might happen. But so I'm not necessarily alarmed by the fact that they released it, but we should say that instead of people, because this is what happens with the industry, the agencies release reports, then the industry is volatile on the investments. All the owners and operators start doing crazy stuff. You start retooling. You want to change how you are implementing, because you're trying to guess what's going to happen with these rules. Let me be the first to say, and I've been saying it for a while, they don't know what they are doing. I'll just pause on that. They don't. And part of the reason why it's so many steps is because they take public comment. This will not be the last and final, especially since now we have to go and see what the new administration and the newly appointed head of the USDA is actually going to do with this document. They could say it's trash. They could say we want to dig deeper. We could demand as the people that they do dig deeper. But what I will say is, let's look at it, but don't take it as the Bible, because I think this is one of those things where there's going to be some changes. Part of the reason also that it takes so long to change stuff is because we don't got enough people coming to the table. If you are a farmer and you are interested in hemp and you are learning about it, or you have expertise in hemp or cannabis in general, you need to step up and start writing and contributing to these comment and testimony periods.
Yes, absolutely. And let's just be clear. This is a 300-page document. This shit is long, y'all. Gosh. And it takes 60 days after introducing it to come into law. So by March 22nd, these things are supposed to be quote unquote finalized if they do not touch it with the new administration. Now, it does not talk about transportation and exporting and importing hemp and things like that. You know, we do have a lot of exporting of hemp because, hey, we know that we don't actually really grow this, have seeds, grow it. You know, a lot of things we don't do here in America because we're just now being able to do. So when it first started, we were getting a lot of our stuff from China.
International, absolutely.
Well, China is still the leading hemp industry, hemp market of the countries.
Yeah, it is. It is. Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. We are now, every year you're going to see like growth 1,000%, right? Like the number of acres grown in the U.S. is like more than quadrupled. It's a lot of growth because we are getting access. It's only been since 2018 that this has been a legalized product, but that is also still been, you know, without real guidelines. And so the USDA releasing this, that's just why I keep warning people. They're releasing it. Don't take it as the gospel, please, because there will be other versions, like the King James versions will maybe come out. I'm sorry.
All right, you guys. This isn't it's not a terrible final rule, though, you guys. Just so you know, it allows a little bit of a larger window for you to get some of your sampling and testing done. They did separate colas versus terminal buds versus main stem. So they did break down into specifics the hemp plant. That's because good. Remember, the USDA is more from the farming, cultivating side. Mm-hmm. They also basically they did not allow for the 0.3 limit to increase, but they do allow a little wiggle room up to 0.5% of THC. They're not going to, like, you know, pull your hemp off the floor or not allow you to sell it if it has 0.5% in some of them. So they did give you guys a little bit of a wiggle room. They said that they cannot legally change the percentage. It has to be done in Congress. So definitely stay aware of that. And that, you know, they're trying not to have people get pressed charges because people are losing their licenses. They're getting charges pressed on them for not growing terrible ass hemp.
I mean, hemp by definition is really man-made definition on the percentage, because on, you know, the World Health Organization has it as less than 0.2%. I think it's like real talk as a molecular biologist, it's negligible. The reality is that they are right to add a buffer. I don't think that buffer is an extra 0.2%. I think if they really were cultivating this, they would know that they need to go up into the 2s and the 3%. I mean, there are many things that can increase your THC concentration within a plant, sometimes out of the control of the farmer or the cultivator, sometimes fully controlled, but nonetheless, there still needs to be a better window. And the window has been so tight because we're so focused on the bad marijuana, and anything that's not 0.3% is marijuana. That's BS. That's something that we made up and that we can change our mind if we want to. And to your point, it has to be minds changed in Congress, but it's just important for us to recognize that's not a scientific distinction at all. I agree with more blunts and stuff. It really is. It's a distinction that's made in human mindset. We somehow believe that we have more than that. It's going to be so detrimental. I think the sooner we stop demonizing the cannabinoid THC, the better we will be at understanding the entire genus and the importance across agriculture, nutrition, and just general consumer products, personal products.
Absolutely. And basically they said that, you know, you have one time to violate this policy and grow more, and then they will actually shut you down. You'll get a fine. 2 times, you'll get a ban for 5 years on growing hemp.
That's what I mean, again, these are fear-based, and this is why I'm saying, okay, it's not the Bible or this version of the Bible that we want. I'm not saying I reject it holistically. I got to go all the way through the 300 pages too. But from my initial read of it, what I saw was there were some things directionally, but there is still a clear competency gap for the USDA. They need to be connected with the real people in the industry who understand the science behind the plant on the cultivation side, the travails of the world, if you will, who really get it. I'm struggling with them trying to create these limitations that could ban someone from the industry when you're not even taking into account what scientifically could be happening while you're cultivating. Errors happen, not because necessarily you're trying to break the law.
Right. Well, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. The 300 pages, I read like 250 of them, 200 of them. It's not much, right? It's a lot of fluff. It's a lot of what it was. They did try to implement some of the comments people made, but it is like when, they're trying to give you just a little bit of room, but not a lot, because they have unspoken biases, and you could kind of tell that they aren't educated with hemp at any point, because as far as I'm concerned, if you're a part of the programming for hemp, then you should be like, let me go back and tell this congressperson and this person in the Senate, hey, you guys, we just absolutely cannot make a good product with what you guys created in Congress. People are mad. We can't even create rules. I'd rather be like, listen, we can't even create rules because your law don't make sense. Because these are lawyers. A lot of them are, people that understand politics, but they don't understand growing. Like, how many of them got a plant in their office?
This is facts.
And not silk.
I think they are finding their own consultants or experts, but they're actually typically not the ones that are leading the way on what needs to be happening in the industry. You know what I realized after today with my tweet is that there are some of us in the industry that are intending and intentional on leading the way, and then there are some people who are okay with just being followers. And I would say followers of the government. What I would say is, if nothing else, we have learned in the last 4 years, the previous administration, the government, it should not be people we following. We need to be as people leading the government. And you can do that from the inside and the outside. I've made my conscious decision to try to do it from the inside. And I have a very, sometimes the most unpopular position, but I don't care anymore, because at the end of the day, if we don't say something, we are complicit with the crazy that happens in the industry. And, I'm just unwilling to be aligned with that at this point. Like I said, my theme for 2021 is I'm a Black woman, you can't tell me nothing. And I'm serious about that. I've been very, I would say mild over the last 5 years as I talked about cannabis. I still have been leading in the conversation, but now I'm just calling people out. So you still calling it recreational instead of adult use. We're going to stop you right in the conversation. I will adjust you. And then if you decide to continue to be ignorant, that is on you. But if you want to be a leader in this industry, and we want to create the industry that we have a vision for, we're going to have to step up and into these roles where we get to say, hey, that's not the best way to look at this. That's not the accurate way to look at it. That's based on bro science. I'm getting to a point where I no longer have the tolerance for the ignorance, because you can Google these days and there's plenty of information across a lot of different states. Data is there, and we're not making guesses anymore.
Ooh, well, please, y'all, don't argue with that. Don't argue that shit about that. Okay, do not argue with her about that, because she is gonna read you for Phil, honey. Okay, I'm warning y'all now, because some people they especially with the tweet you had this morning. Go check it out. Follow at Dashida Dawson on Twitter. But the tweet you had this morning, I feel bad for them, because, they about to get red, honey.
Listen, I don't even have to read people. What I appreciate is that we actually are surrounded by a cannabis community that they doing the reading. I tweeted, I said a couple things, but by and large, most people are checking folks for me, because it's like, what did that guy say on my Instagram? He's like, this is a library of facts built in a book of facts on a shelf of facts on facts on facts. I'm not lying about it. What I'm doing is just trying to be a little bit less accommodating and gracious.
You can't be gracious anymore. We already know grace is not really getting us where we need to be in this America stand after the domestic terrorist attack at the Capitol. I call it America stand. We know we can't be gracious. We have to go in and we got to start throwing some bows, and we can't be scared to throw bows, because we have the facts, we have the data, and again, technically the government works for you, the people. You pay their checks.
yeah, I mean, that's where it's so important. We just want to keep people engaged. And I think that's why I love She Blaze. I can't believe we have over 50 episodes that we have now come to the end of this season. It's crazy. 23 episodes. Oh my goodness. Plus special episodes. We're consistently trying to give the information because it's like, you listen, we have a voice and we can use it, but it's much better when you have a chorus of people who are saying the same things. And some of us won't agree on every single nuance, but if we're in the same vicinity, we've got to figure out how to take that message more in a global way. And I think most people recognize that our federal government has very limited competency when it comes to cannabis. And therefore, and this is how it works everywhere else, if you know the least, then you don't make the rules.
I know that's right. Hello. And right now, y'all really showing y'all level of reading comprehension in cannabis, and you're not in middle school.
You are funny. Oh my goodness. But
this has been such a fun episode. Cute and quick, like I like it. And there's a lot of things going on in cannabis, you guys. Stay up to date. Keep following us. Thank you so much for, joining me and being my talent on this show.
I mean, I'll try.
Yes. And shout out to our producer Maya for holding us down in the background, holding us down, keeping all the banners moving, keeping the comments coming on the screen, because we are so enjoying this super chat. Thank you guys for joining us. Yes, 23 episodes. Go binge them, because believe it or not, Season 4, Season 3, Season 2, Season 1, all these things are still coming back up. These topics are still relevant to this day. So I can't even believe it.
Well, I can, because we said it. And honestly, I'm happy to have it for the record. Because anytime somebody is like, well, what, everybody's new saying something, co-opting ideas, we can drop a link from 3 years ago when we've been saying it, and really having the same references too. Yeah. But I appreciate also all of our fans and people who are following us on the various social media channels. And again, you can find me at Dashita Dawson on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow me on Facebook with just / The Weed Head, or find me at theweedhead.com.
Yes, and make sure you're binging She Blaze. So when we come back with season 5, we're gonna do like a whole bunch of quizzes and see if y'all did y'all research.
Giveaway quizzes with all of our highs.
Oh yeah, you sending them.
Yes.
You sending the
She's mad because I'm creating work for her. I'm like, we can mail out our giveaways.
You can mail out. Listen, we're gonna have to talk about this offline, because I'm about to be little baby sister, get real fresh, you guys. And so make sure you're following _Blaze on IG. We got a whole bunch of quick clips, so please share, like, and keep the information rolling. Repost us, and we just thank you for joining us. And oh yeah, I'm Ice Dawson, so you can follow me there too.
Yay. Well, congratulations, Ice. Season 4 is in the books, and we will see you guys for season 5.
We out.